I'm Brian Nolenberg. I'm a VP of marketing at BECU. So I've got a team that focuses on all of the getting out all the right communications to our members, understanding the products and services that they use, trying to make sure that they deepen their engagement with us, and helping them with their financial well-being. Between 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 people in the Seattle metropolitan area is a member of BECU and uses them for their primary banking relationship. It's critically important to the things that we do to understand what products and services our members use with us. A lot of things in financial services are very, life cycle based. People don't generally make credit seeking decisions based on when we want them to. It's something that's important in their lives. So maybe you recently got married and you want to buy a home, you need to find a mortgage. So by looking at different indicators, looking at different kind of engagements with other products, spending patterns, for example, hopefully we could predict something like that and have that product ready for them or offer it to them in the right time frame. When you're in financial services, we have so much data, because if you think about every swipe that somebody has on a credit card or a debit card that's from us, that's transactional data that we need to make sure that we have and we understand. It's hard to make sure that we have that all in one place, that we can really aggregate it, that we can understand it, that we can organize it, that we can make sure that it's always up to date. And so we were constantly struggling with trying to make sure that all these different sources would come into the one place where we could do that, where we could understand it and where we could use it to the benefit of the credit union and the membership, and reducing latency, improving reliability, and then the power to be able to kind of query through and munge through that data with the Amperity CDP has really been valuable for us. So I think those are some of the additional insights. Is what are these external relationships that people might have with other competitors in some case that we couldn't quite get to before. Much more difficult, right? So much more difficult, much more manual processes, and concern and risk that the data would be out of date. So I think going back to that axiom, if you will, of in digital marketing, relevancy is just so critical. You can't have relevancy if you don't have up-to-date data. Having the most up-to-date, the least latent data available for you to syndicate out to your different marketing execution platforms is just so critical. And so having Amperity for our CDP to be able to combine these various data sources that we're constantly aggregating and bringing in so that we can then understand those relationships, and that we can have the most up-to-date data so that we can then send out the most up-to-date offers. It's everything from what products and services do you use, when did you join BECU, how did you join us, when's the last time you called someone, when's the last time you came into a branch, when's the last time you logged into online banking, when's the last time you used the mobile app. Any of those kind of real interactions on how you manage your money, getting that all in one place is very valuable for us. Amperity talks to Salesforce Marketing Cloud all the time. They're good friends. We're building all of our segments and our queries, for example, that power all the different always-on programs and the outbound execution emails in Marketing Cloud. We used to do that decisioning and kind of load the data into Marketing Cloud. Now we're making those decisions with the most up-to-date data in Amperity, and then we're just sending out that information so that they can activate based on the most up-to-date Tableau reporting dashboards. It used to be something that I think would take someone like 18 hours manual-ish labor to do, and now we have some jobs running that can do it in 30 minutes or less and just drop a file for us, so that our dashboards are up to date for the most part, and gives us much cleaner and faster intelligence. So lots of good syndication examples where I really think about Amperity as kind of the hub, the brain, and syndicating out all this information to our execution or our analysis channels. So it's become really critical in that way. Trying to kind of navigate that and trying to increase your priority inside the enterprise versus going and building something yourself with much more scalable, much more flexible cloud-based technology. We've just seen increase in throughput, increase in ability to activate, ability to execute, just execution, removing all the bogging down of execution, which is really the bane of a lot of digital marketing teams' existence. Is just how do you kind of get all these different things that you need to do in one place in a repeatable process that that works well and is moving along as fast as it can, and Imperity's really removed a lot of roadblocks for us. So it's critical that we continue to leverage the platform to do these things, to continue to automate. I think automation is big for us from a transformation perspective. So, and Imperity gives us tools to automate more things that we were doing manually. So there's definitely more to come there, and we're definitely seeing lift in that. So what's the overall percent of the base that is determined eligible for an always-on program? That's increased consistently for us. So that's what's great about these always-on programs from a conversion perspective is we don't have to go and build another manual campaign. Back to Imperity, where we run that through different processes inside Imperity to make sure it's in the right format for our Tableau dashboards, and then it's automatically dropping that down there. And that was a process that was extremely onerous for us, very manual process where someone had to go into Marketing Cloud and download the file offline and then do that data munging and formatting, if you will, using more antiquated tools. It was multiple hours, more than 10 hours to do that kind of stuff, and it was only on like a weekly basis we would want to dedicate, or bi-weekly. But now we're getting that on a daily basis, so it's just happening from a mostly automatic standpoint. So it's just a huge amount of time savings, so we're really happy with that. When you're talking about tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of outbound executions, you're talking about real results.
Hi viewers, welcome to Amplify with Brian Squared. I'm Brian Lee from Imperity, and this is Brian Nolenberg from BECU. So Brian, I just kind of want to get started to introduce you a little bit. So I know that you've been with BECU for about 5.5 years, correct? So you also just recently had a promotion. So you were the VP of Analytics as well as Digital Marketing, and now you're the SVP of Marketing. So in your role now at BECU, what's kind of changed for you?
Thanks for having me live from downtown Seattle. Yeah, it's I'm extremely fortunate to have expanded scope, a pretty significant change. Really working with a broader team to make sure that we represent the brand correctly. Send the right offers and communications to our members. Right. Make sure that our centers look the right way and whatnot, and just really fulfill our purpose. So excited to have that expanded scope to work with a bunch of different people in the marketing org. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course, and of course, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so we kind of just want to start and tell a story from the beginning. So let's go back to when you first were looking for CDPs. How did you know that Imperity was the CDP for BECU? Was it mainly like our product, our selling methods, or was it our team, or is it just all the above?
I mean, it's a good question, but thinking back, we were pretty early, I think, in the adoption. So when I think about the question of was it the right CDP, I think back then, what a CDP was still being defined too, and Imperity was really had that head start that I think Imperity still has in the space, while people try to get into the space. And marketing technology is kind of a weird thing, right? The hottest thing changes as the years go on. So you got to kind of try to figure out what solutions you might bring to your problems. When I think back to then, we really knew what problems we needed help with from a mitigation perspective, from how can we have a better solution and whatnot. And so I think we had already had some connections with different people at Imperity, and I think that's a critical piece, is do you like and respect the people that you're going to work with, and we feel really good about that. Of course, the solution was really strong. And I think, from a sale, if you ask about kind of the selling perspective, that could be a bad experience, that could be a good experience. I think absolutely, just having good straight talk about that and about what are your challenges and what are the solutions you might bring to the table. Right. And I think having that trust and whatnot was really critical. So we felt good about kind of all those things, the technology, the people, and then not too much pressure. So
great. Yeah. So it sounds like it was a great fit and a great match to begin with.
Yeah.
And just thinking about BECU's technology ecosystem, what has Imperity been able to replace or even just improve the performance of existing systems, and how has that really affected your business?
When you think about the marketing organization and how critical still data is for marketing organizations to make sure that they're executing the right things, that they have the right signals to decision off of and whatnot, I think if you ask the question about replace, certainly we still have an on-prem data warehouse or a cloud-based data warehouse that the overall organization might use, but in financial services and probably in a lot of organizations, marketing isn't necessarily near the top of kind of priority for data, munging and data ETL, so that you can get that data in the right places so you can then execute your programs. So it might be a replacement overall, just that, we kind of weren't waiting in line so much for our turn on the on-prem data warehouse so that we could get the data that we need so that we can make sure that we can execute the programs that we need to execute for members so that we send them the right communications or send them the right offers or whatever. So just a real critical piece for that where we can rely on that and working, of course, in sync with our on-prem systems and our teams at the credit union. But it's been a really complementary piece as more of instead of a replacement, but something that we just rely on so critically to get these things done. So.
I think that's the same for a lot of our prospects and clients, right? We're kind of built to play in your ecosystem, and we can help and embellish anything that already exists, and just democratizing that data, like you said, because you've lived in analytics as well as marketing, right? It's completely different departments. So in financial services and a lot of other B2C companies, they struggle with creating a comprehensive C360. And I imagine now with the pandemic, there's so much omni-channel, there's data silos, channels everywhere. Everybody sees the customer differently, even within one org. So how has that comprehensive C360 been able to impact your business in terms of providing that single customer view, even working on householding when needed? And so how has that enterprise-grade C360 really affected BECU?
We kind of think of it as a member 360, because all of our, we don't have customers, we have owner members for the credit union, but it's a big change, I think when you think about, you call it a customer 360, call it a member 360, just so critical, of course, understanding what are the products and services that your members are using, what are the signals that you're ingesting so that you might send them the right next offer, the right next logical product. The only thing that really matters in digital marketing is relevancy and kind of the most up-to-date data. And so having that in one place that is continuously updated for us allows us to be more relevant, which allows us to deepen engagement, which allows us hopefully to deepen engagement with the product offerings, to offer people the right things. So we're not just trying to sell them things. So we're literally, actually offering them things and saying, hey, it looks like from a life cycle perspective, we see all these different signals in our Member 360 that are telling us that it looks like you might be in the market for a mortgage. It looks like you might need a credit card, right? We can give you a better rate on a credit card than a competitor. Absolutely. So getting all that in one place so those signals are robust, they're repeatable, they're reliable, and just so critical to us. So having that and just that low latency availability and connectivity to our other tech stack has just been great for us. So.
That's awesome. Earlier in the video, you mentioned around downstream integration, and you specifically mentioned Salesforce. And I love how you just use those three words. It's the customer data has become robust, reliable, and just real-time access, right? And so can you tell us a little bit how you've been able to create some of these activities and new campaigns based on data and that single customer view, and what kind of amazing campaigns have you been able to downstream just fulfill with like a single customer view? Right?
Yeah.
'Cause that's the hardest part sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the video. This is live, so that was the video. Let me, I'll think about that for a second. I mean, it's just like part of the previous answer, it's, you have a full suite of kind of marketing programs that you're looking at. So when someone joins the credit union, we want to have an onboarding program that's relevant for them, right? You want to kind of get them to do the things that are going to put them in the right steps on their financial journey. So setting up direct deposit, using our budgeting tools, signing up for the mobile app, downloading the mobile app, using it, signing up for online banking. So that's a good example too of like, do we know if you've done those things or do we not know if you've done those things? We shouldn't be asking you to sign up for online banking if you've already done it, right? So that's a small piece, but having all of that stuff in the right place at the right time so that then we can reference that with low latency, high availability so we can send those right things is just so critical. Onboarding, next logical product, predicting what you might be in the market for. Not sending you the same thing over and over again. Yes. I mean, all those things are things that we need to know. What we've sent you in the past, how many times we've talked to you, what are the things you're already doing, what are the things that we know might help you, and just having that in one place is just so great for us. So we that's what we're focused on, and we haven't got it all figured out. Yeah. But we continually iterate. We're always trying to improve, and it's been a great tool for us to do that.
Yeah. And I know, so for for myself, like as a consumer, we always like to be talked in a more personal sense from our brands, right? And it sounds like that's something you guys are working on. And it sounds like you guys are really working on like customer journey orchestration, life cycle management for your customers at BECU. And then obviously it sounds like product management as well, right? And so with that in mind, how do you actually create more loyalty with your members? And how do you also like have that deeper engagement of, number one, knowing your customer, and at the same time being able to have the right personalized messaging for them?
It's not an easy thing. I
Right.
mean, I think
especially in this day and age,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, you always hear people talk about the bar has been raised.
Yes.
You know, customer expectation has changed. Has it really changed anymore? We're always saying that it's changed. I think the expectation is really high. So we're always measuring ourselves, and especially in Seattle. I mean, in tech hub of the world in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The bar for our members is higher than probably a lot of other places. So I think it always comes back to knowing them. You know, loyalty is really built around, are you offering people the things that they actually want? Are you telling them that you understand the things they're already doing?
Right.
Right. I mean, if you're not talking to them about that and you're sending them things, if I kept asking Brian to get a credit card and you already had one, I don't think that would build much loyalty for us. You know, you would be sitting there hitting spam and delete and saying, why are you telling me to get a credit card? I've already got it and I'm using it. And that's a real high level example. But I think building loyalty is really around that, which is we show that we understand you, we show that we know you, we show that we think we know what you want. And you know, there's no way to know that for sure unless we're having a one-to-one conversation, and our people in the centers do an amazing job of that. But that's really at a high level what we focus on. And I think when that goes back to that member 360 or customer 360 is, how do you know and what do you know about your customers or your members? I mean, it's just so critical to know and understand that, and that we base everything off that. Let's not send them something that's not relevant.
Right.
If we don't have something relevant to send them, maybe we don't send it at all.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, there's enough is enough sometimes. So
sometimes no communication is
that's
the best
right.
communication,
It's not always more marketing. You know, more marketing. More marketing can do do injustice to your brand or to your relationship as well. And I think that impacts loyalty too. So knowing all that stuff of just going back to know the customer, and I know Amperity is focused on that.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that you say that, Brian. Like, that means everything at the start of loyalty is getting your customer data correct. So start with your PII, get that correct. Let's eliminate all these data silos and make sure we can just democratize that, like you said. And when you think about like what's next for BECU in terms of using customer data and taking that single view of the customer, having all that access from all your different channels and departments, just treating every member, that member C360 as like the golden customer record, right? So how and like what interesting or cool projects do you guys have coming up?
I mean, I'm just so lucky to have an amazing team that is focused on all these different, challenges and what we might bring to the table. I think we mentioned briefly about analytics. I mean, that's a great use case too for just Amperity's organization of data. I mean, the old axiom still is very relevant about garbage in and garbage out. Statistical models just don't work well if you don't know exactly what you're feeding in there. It's not structured in the right way. It's not repeatable. Correct. You can't rerun those. So I think that's we're very focused on that, and that helps us know. There's things where you can do Boolean decisioning of a yes/no perspective. Does Brian have a credit card? Yes or no? That will give us some signal that we might send you something. It's not good enough though, right? We need to know more about what you might be interested in, and statistical modeling can do a lot better job of that in some cases. But again, you got to have the data organized. You got to be able to feed it into the model continuously and for it to be refreshed and whatnot, because that goes back to the relevancy. So I think those projects are the ones that in a lot of cases get me excited, particularly around the digital marketing realm. I'm also
in this day and age.
Yeah. But it works in concert with the brand, right? So I think I'm super excited about how our brand fits into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming up to close here shortly. But Brian, one of the things I just kind of want to re-elaborate, I love that you said, is that customer data, working with Amperity, we've been able to make that reliable, robust, and real time for you. And again, we thank you so much for being here. And to all the BECU team, thanks for being a partner with us as well.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.